bell tolls. The midnight hour is upon us. It's time once again for two internet strangers to discuss the good and evil of the horror genre. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the terror within the Hallow-Holics Anonymous podcast.
Jesus Christ, Corey, what are you doing?
I'm going to fix where they went wrong, Maddie. All of them.
All of what?
The movies. The horrible movies we watched in the past. I just need to figure out a way to get inside.
So you're pouring water on our podcasting equipment?
No, that would be insane. I'm pouring it on all the overloaded power strips in the studio. When everything explodes, we'll be sucked into the movie world and we'll be able to right what once went wrong.
Oh boy. We better start the podcast. Hi, I'm Maddie.
And I'm Corey.
And this is Hallow-Holics Anonymous,
a show dedicated to all things horror and occasionally Halloween.
Corey, it says here that you can only fix the future by talking about the Final Girls and Final Girl this week.
Where are you reading that?
Oh, Ziggy, in my Palm Pilot. You know, with all the Tetris cubes?
Wow, you're doing whatever you can to relate to, like, the 90s right now, aren't you? It says it right here underneath my slap bracelet. Was that a thing in the 90s or was that the 80s? See, that's the problem.
That was the 90s. That was like 96, 97.
Okay.
I remember not understanding why other kids liked hurting their wrists so much.
Mm-hmm. We always heard those rumors about, like, did you hear about the kid who slit his wrist with one? He's dead now. Died in a puddle of his own blood at the park.
Right after he drank Coke with Pop Rocks.
Exactly. So I'm in this weird place when it comes to stuff. Like, the fact that the 90s is now retro is really difficult for me because I started, like, 80s is retro to me. You know what I mean? Like, I was 13 in, like, 89 or something like that. Like, I still consider that retro. I don't really think of the 90s as retro, but all of a sudden, like, the 90s has sort of taken the place of the 80s.
It kind of reminds me of an old Mad Magazine comic I read when I was a kid that said, you're old when you hear your favorite music on the oldies station.
Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, it's been happening for a very long time because I've always been a fan of 80s music more than any other time period.
There aren't any oldies stations anymore.
Well, there are, but they play stuff we don't consider oldies anymore because we're old.
Yeah, that's true. Well, wait,
like,
hold on. To be fair,
station.
You're old and I'm not yet.
I'm sorry, what milestone did you just hit recently?
I have 10 years left. 9.5, but.
Oh, so your cutoff's at 40 then?
Yes, that is when you're old.
Oh, see, I assumed it was like, I considered myself old at 30.
Oh, well.
But maybe that's generational too, because I guess 30 is the new 20 now. Yeah. Is that a thing people say?
No, the thing is, when you're balding or bald, you age faster. I have long, beautiful hair, so that's not a problem for me.
Good point. I am balding and bald, in fact, but I don't have that goatee that everybody that's bald had. You know what I mean? Like the bald head goatee look. I have a full beard, but.
Speaking of getting old, you know, we're talking about one movie in which an actress can't get any jobs. I guess because she's not young anymore.
Are you trying?
Yes, I'm trying to segue. I'm not really sure how.
Into the movies or into the horror? Like, I have no idea what you're trying to just
try to somehow string a subject together here, but we only paired these movies because they came out the same year and they had a similar title and you watched the wrong movie.
Wait, how did I watch the wrong movie?
Well, because originally I told you to watch The Final Girls just for fun, and you ended up watching Final Girl.
Oh, that's right. Final Girl was really good, though.
Yeah, it was crazy, though, that one of the lead actors is in both of them.
Yeah, the dude from Vikings. What's his name? He's right on my screen.
Alexander Ludwig.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. He was great in it. He was great in both of them.
Yeah, he's like randomly in a bunch of good stuff that I didn't know about, too.
Do we have any major horror news?
Not really. I have an update on October Faction.
Mm-hmm.
I finished season 1. It started off pretty strong. It didn't plummet downhill to its death, but it definitely got kind of predictable and sort of did that whole the humans are the real monsters thing.
Oh, I hate that twist.
Yeah. I've got some hope for season 2, and my friend that I work with loaned me the first 3 graphic novels, so I'm really stoked to dig into those because the art is amazing. It looks so good. So yeah, I haven't given up hope, but the series wasn't nearly as good as I had hoped, and I thought it would be last time we spoke. But that being said, I have also started watching Lock and Key on Netflix as well.
I've heard really good things about that.
Yeah, it's good, except I am unreasonably annoyed by the way the actor that plays Sam Lesser looks. Luckily, he's a big character, but he's not one of the main characters, so he's not in it all the time. But there's one episode I can never watch again because it makes me uncontrollably angry for some reason. I don't know what this dude does to me. He just annoys me. It's his face.
You know, there are some actors I feel that same way about it. And until I finally watched, 28 Hours or something with James Franco, I hated James Franco, but then I finally watched him in that movie and I was like, you know what? He's not that bad. I still hate Seth Rogen.
See, I can see how you'd feel that way about James Franco. It's 27 Hours, by the way.
Whatever.
You were close. Joe Rogan, I've never really cared enough about to have. Oh, sorry, Seth Rogen. Yeah, Seth Rogen. Well, that's who I'm actually talking about. Joe Rogan, I also feel the same way about. Maybe it's just the Rogans. I don't care enough about them to have an opinion. You know what I mean? Sometimes Seth will say something and I'll blow air out of my nose faster than I would have had he not said something. But that's about the most emotion he's ever gotten from me.
I hate people who look like they're always smiling when they think they're being funny. Like always smiling. They can't say a straight joke. And he's not very good at saying a straight joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's smug.
Yeah.
His humor is smug.
Well, the kid who plays Sam Lesser, the kid that's annoying me in Lock and Key doesn't really he's not smug. He looks like somebody who would not leave me alone in high school, who would just want to keep hanging out.
Aww,
and would be like
that.
Yeah, but not the okay friends, like the really annoying kid.
Yeah, I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Like for the first couple of weeks, you feel bad that you're ditching him all the time, but then eventually you just punch him in the face.
And it becomes a bit of a joke that he won't leave you alone.
You joke about punching someone in the face?
No, it becomes a joke that he won't leave you and your friends alone.
Yeah, kind of. And then nobody cares about him anymore, and eventually he probably ends up doing something terrible.
So before we started the podcast, we were talking about how we both might be assholes.
Yeah, I think we're back to that again.
With that being said, did you get any movies this month?
I did. We're probably going to be doing this 2 weeks in a row because it's been so long since we recorded. I have one here, and I think I have one coming in the mail.
Of what?
Horror Pack.
Okay.
Did I not say that? I probably didn't say that.
No, you didn't. So thank you. I got that little audio in there.
Oh, good. All right, so this month's Horror Pack is okay. Like, there's one movie I really wanted to see in here, so I'm kind of happy about it. And one I've seen that I completely forgot and think I hated. 2 that are vaguely interesting, so. All right, that seems like, no. That's a good order. Okay. So well prepared. All right, first up is Johnny Gruesome.
Huh.
Have you seen it?
No, but it sounds like a familiar title.
This is the one I've seen, and I vaguely remember it being a movie. You know what I mean? Like, it was okay. It's, I'll read the back. There it is. High school seniors Eric Carter and rebel Johnny Gruesome, Gruesome, get it? Are best friends. When Johnny is murdered while on a drunken joyride, his killer, Gary, persuades Eric and Johnny's girlfriend, Karen, God, these names are terrible, to help him make the death appear accidental. Before long, Johnny rises from the grave with revenge on his mind, and no one is safe.
Okay, wait a minute. Low budget, British?
Not British, I don't think.
Oh,
maybe Canadian.
I think I've seen this one. Yeah, it's terrible.
It lives in the same world as those, like, other heavy metal movies that are a bunch better than this, like, that sort of, like, are a more serious version of Todd from Todd and the Book of Evil.
Yeah, it's like impossible to sympathize with Johnny. That's the problem with this movie.
Yeah, because he just does and says all this vulgar crap during his little revenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't love it, but I own it now, so great. Next up, we have the Michael Ironside vehicle, Mutants.
All right. Well, I like Michael Ironside.
I don't know about this, though. It's tagged as 28 Days Later meets the apocalyptic I Am Legend. A mad scientist.
Okay. So did you say 28 days later?
I did.
Okay.
Nobody wants to compare anything to 28 weeks later. A mad scientist is hired by a greedy manufacturer to create an additive designed to make the most addictive substance in the world. Instead, it changes human beings into savage mutants. Only the head of security and his girlfriend can stop the plague from spreading worldwide. Yeah, I don't know. There's a gas mask guy and an ATV and some lady in some tactical suits with machine guns. It's probably crap.
Probably.
The mutant on the cover is definitely like a sort of like... It's like if the Alien and the Predator had a baby that couldn't draw as well as H.R. Geiger. All right, so these are the two that actually interest me. The next one is The Machine.
Well, I like the title.
I do too. Katie Lotz, Toby Stevens, Dennis Lawson. Katie Lotz sounds familiar. I can't remember who she is. Katie Lotz from Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Deep into a second Cold War, Britain's Ministry of Defense wants a game-changing weapon. Lead scientist Vincent McCarthy has developed a cybernetic super soldier dubbed The Machine, hence the title. When a programming bug causes the prototype to run amok, McCarthy takes his obsessive efforts underground. Soon he has perfected the ideal marriage of human and machine in his ultimate creation, a beautiful and dangerous being, played by Katie Lotz. That may be the key to ending the war, but a sentience stirring inside the machine puts everyone's plans in jeopardy.
Sounds like an episode of Outer Limits.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that too, but I'll still watch it. And finally, I got Don't Breathe, which is kind of awesome because I really wanted to see this and I haven't watched it yet. Mm-hmm. That's the blind guy in the house that gets robbed.
Oh, wow.
And he's that old dude with really big arms. So here's the back of this. From the twisted minds behind Evil Dead comes a new terrifying experience. 3 young thieves fight for their lives after breaking into the home of a blind man who has a dark side. And big arms and abs. And he's like 7. I don't know, maybe like 6. I don't know how old he is.
So was this month's horror pack worth it?
I think so. I mean, I really want to see Don't Breathe. And if it sucks, then whatever.
I think that one's pretty good.
Have you seen it?
I don't remember. I think I've seen it, but it's been a while.
I definitely haven't yet.
You know what makes me want to breathe?
Non sequiturs?
Yes.
Camp Bloodbath is the granddaddy of all campsite slasher films. Max's mom plays Nancy, this shy girl next door.
Nice legs. What time they open?
It's cool you get to remember your mom this way.
At least I get to see her on the anniversary of her death, even if she is being chased by a psycho.
They did a decent job with that shot.
Yeah, I actually really, really like that shot. I don't think I have one complaint about this movie at all, in fact.
Do you guys know the way to Camp
It was just a good movie.
So, we're in the movie.
Oh, hi. What's your name? Max. Best summer ever!
Anyone want to help me pick some strawberries?
Nope, but I'll give you a hand with those melons. Talking about the goods.
Oh, writing is so bad.
What's that noise?
It's good. He's coming. Everyone who has sex in this movie dies. It's awesome.
No sex.
Wait. Selfie time. Shoot!
Oh, this
How do we
movie's
get
so
out of here?
good.
Movies like this end when the final girl kills the bad guy and the credits roll.
That's Paula. That's the final girl. We just have to stay with her till the end of the movie.
Oops.
I want them to keep the hard work. I
I want chainsaws, big ass knives, and I want them now.
Guys?
You know, I just got that they have the bullseyes there, like in Friday the 13th.
Wonder if all this blood is just corn
Which is
syrup, you know,
definitely
like
the
these
main one
characters
they're
walking
taking
around
all
with
these
corn syrup in
jokes.
their veins.
Oh God, yeah, for sure.
No. Oh God, that's blood.
I know in the movie you're supposed to die, but that doesn't mean you have to, right?
I mean, it's pretty much just Friday the 13th. But Friday the 13th at the same time was sort of an amalgamation of all the other, like, camp slashers that they put out.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm not sure if I'm right there. We might have to argue not argue. We might have to talk about slasher movie history briefly in a minute. But
Oh, I think so, definitely. Yeah. For instance, the slow motion segment right there was definitely not so much an 80s reference as it was like maybe an early 2000s reference.
yeah.
Horror movie logic is stretched paper thin in The Final Girls, with this nice little send up to early 80s slashers, complete with a hokey mask, a tragic backstory, but for both the real main character and the killer, and a decent beginner level body count, as well as enough knowing nods to the genre to give you neck pain. That's The Final Girls.
I like the alliteration there. Good job with the ends.
I do my best.
Yeah, that was bad.
A bunch of teenagers who kind of get along and kind of don't, end up getting sucked into a movie.
Essentially, one group of teenagers that would be in a slasher movie gets sucked in to join another group of teenagers that would be in a lower budget slasher movie.
Exactly.
You know,
and it's delightful.
Mm-hmm.
What's funny, though, is that the director, Todd Strauss-Schulson, did a movie last year that was incredibly disappointing with a very similar theme. That was Isn't It Romantic, which just... I was excited about seeing it, saw it in theaters. It was really disappointing.
What's that about?
Rebel Wilson plays a girl who hates rom-coms, then she gets hit on the head, and she wakes up in her own romantic comedy.
What a weird niche to put yourself into as a filmmaker. Like, I'm going to make movies about people going into other movies.
My problem with that movie... she didn't go into another movie. Her life just turned into one. But
oh, okay.
My problem with it was that it wasn't really so much a loving nod like this movie is, and it was more making fun of the romantic comedy genre without understanding it, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Plus, Rebel Wilson was in it. That can be problematic at times.
She's not terrible, but she doesn't particularly speak to me. But like, all of the cliches and jokes they were making weren't really what you see in a good rom-com.
I gotcha.
All kinds of dumb stuff, like her having a best gay friend and the other attractive woman in the office always being the bitch. But this isn't about it romantic being a big letdown. This is about The Final Girls not being a big letdown.
Yes, not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Even that terrible, obnoxious, irritating actor that I can't stand was okay in this. Mostly because he was playing himself.
Well,
only written worse.
That's Adam Devine.
Adam Devine, that's it.
Devine. You know what? Honestly, after I saw him in The Final Girls, I learned to like him. I didn't really like him before, but after watching this, especially like hearing how much all the other actors enjoyed working with him, that he's just a nice guy, like he's just a really fun person, that made me appreciate him a little bit more.
I liked him fine in this. I thought he was really funny. I don't remember what else I've seen him in. Was he in Workaholics?
Yes, he was.
Okay.
He's also in this Netflix movie where this guy, this girl he's always been in love with is marrying a friend of his, and like he knows it could have all been different if he had just changed something about how when they first met. So he gets a Groundhog Day opportunity to do that and sees what his life would have been like over and over again if he had made all these different decisions, and it's actually a pretty decent movie on Netflix.
Is he that guy in that movie too?
Yes.
Is he himself? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. Like, I don't think I hate him as much as I thought I did.
Yeah.
Like, cause I don't remember anything about Workaholics, but I remember liking it. So I couldn't, and I remember they went to the Gathering of the Juggalos, and that was funny.
I couldn't get into it, but I could see why people liked it.
I watched the first 2 seasons. I didn't see it all.
Well, back to the Final Girls.
Which we seem to be having trouble focusing on.
Yeah.
I think it's me. I think I keep pushing us away.
Well, the screenplay is actually written by a couple, Joshua John Miller and his partner M.A. Fortin. Joshua John Miller, some of you might actually remember as Homer in Near Dark. He was also the little brother in Teen Witch. He's been in several things. He was mostly...
Really? Homer wrote this?
Yeah. And also he's Jason Patric's half-brother.
I like Jason Patric too.
Yeah. Near Dark and Lost Boys came out the same year. It makes me laugh that they came out the same year. And
it irritates me because Lost Boys completely overshadowed Near Dark, and it should have been the other way around. Though I love both films.
Would you say Near Dark got lost in the shadows?
Lost Boys.
I wonder why people didn't see Near Dark. People are strange.
Loneliness. Now I have that entire soundtrack going through my head.
Well, Corey, it might eventually leave your head because I still believe.
Little sister, thou shalt not want. I don't even know what they say there. It's definitely the
Thou shalt not kill. That shall not. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Thou shalt not kill. I'm gonna take my shirt off and play the saxophone now.
I don't have a lot of background stuff about this film because it's still not that old.
Sorry. I need to pull it together. You've destroyed me.
But Joshua John Miller was actually interviewed on a Shockwaves episode, and that interview is really worth checking out. It's absolutely excellent. And it was what got me to actually watch The Final Girls in the first place. So yeah, check out Shockwaves. Check out the Joshua John Miller interview. And I love that the title card in this movie is like a direct reference to The Thing.
Oh yeah, it is. I didn't even think of that.
You were mentioning earlier that we kind of need to discuss serial killer history, slasher film history.
We can go into serial killer history, but that's going to be a whole nother show.
Man, that's probably going to be like several shows.
Yeah.
Even though that's like a genre that's been saturated, I can never get enough of it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like this was obviously mostly influenced by Friday the 13th, like even down to the soundtrack. Mm-hmm. But it's definitely has like, I want to say it's got aspects of all the other camp slasher movies that was going around then, but I don't remember which came first, the original Friday the 13th or like The Burning or,
Sleepaway Camp.
Sleepaway Camp. Like I don't know the years enough.
I think all of them melded together so much that it's easier to just say maybe it was just Friday the 13th. But
I mean, that's definitely one that like mainstreamed the genre, I think.
What made the final girl trope became a thing? Because I feel like I was late to the party and even seeing that as a trope. I never made the connection until like a few years ago when the final girl became a phrase that was used in movies and TV shows. Was that always a thing and I just missed out on it?
I'm sure it was, but I don't remember hearing the term final girl before like, say, 2010. Maybe even later than that.
Because when a guy is the survivor at the end of the film, you don't call him the final guy, the final man, the last man standing. You don't really. He's just the character. So why is it that when the last character living is a girl, she has to be a trope?
I don't know. Yeah, I think that is kind of shitty.
It's just weird.
Yeah, I don't know. But I always knew the term scream queens, and I always assumed that final girls just fell under that same umbrella. You know what I mean?
You know, I used to think scream queens was literally just about the actresses who were really good at screaming in movies, which would explain why Linnea Quigley was a scream queen. But
yeah.
Bum.
That was terrible.
One thing I do appreciate about this film that stands out, though, is Max's relationship with her mother. That is just such a beautiful storyline to tie into this. And it makes it not just a horror comedy and something a little bit more.
Yeah, very true. And the way they open the movie is just soul crushing. Mm-hmm. They just set that whole thing up so well.
Yeah. Not going to reveal the spoiler, but that moment that her mother makes that choice in the end, that is a beautiful moment.
Yeah.
Every time I watch it, I tear up.
If I had feelings, I would feel something too.
Well, I did watch this movie with my mom and we both teared up, so.
Oh, okay. There you go. I guess that would be a good mother and daughter moment.
I do love that even though these teenagers got sucked into this movie from the real world, that even the real world looked like a movie.
Mm-hmm. And they were all the same, like, essentially the same tropes. You know what I mean? Like, they carried the same tropes into the movie that was already in the movie. Mm. You had chick from Vampire Diaries, Nina Dobrev, whatever her name is, was sort of the updated version of the, I don't want to say slutty one, you know, the bitchy one. The bitchy one, but also the slightly more sexually active one. Yeah, it's hard to like.
Yeah, I know.
In the 80s, it would have been known as the slutty one, but like here, she's more of like a sexually powerful one. Yeah, Sarah Michelle gellar, I guess. And then you've got like the like hunky dude in the 80s versus the new version of it, the more sensitive, big sporty dude played by the guy from Vikings. Yeah, kind of.
You've got like the nerd and then the token black guy, which I guess the nerd is the modern
version. Who's also the nerd in this, yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Do you like new wave music? Is new wave music real? Of course it's real.
I actually yelled, of course it's real, at the screen because I love new wave. I always will. I like new wave or whatever, synthwave, whatever it's called now.
You know, if you combine all these moments with the characters that are from the movie together, they don't get a lot of screen time, but they so effectively make you kind of love those characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very true. And the more I'm thinking about it, the more clever it is that like they all kind of have their modern day mirror images. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, this is a smarter movie. Like, I mean, I thought the movie was smart. I really liked it, but it's even smarter now that we're talking about it.
Now, listeners, I know we probably all realize this, but if you are in denial and you're listening to this show, you're Duncan. We're all Duncan. We're not the jock. We're not the main character. We're not the final girl. We're the nerd who tries to take a selfie in front of the killer.
I am definitely the nerd that tries to take a selfie.
We're the ones excited to be in this dangerous situation, trapped in another world, and trying to taste people's blood to see if it's just syrup.
I would be the first one to say, I'll be right back.
Yeah. I feel like I'd be the one who tripped over the movie thing and got excited to bring the dead woman's child to the film.
Yeah,
screen.
Definitely.
Completely insensitive about it. Which everyone's pretty insensitive to the fact that she's seeing the closest to seeing her mom again.
Well, the only way this plot keeps going without just stalling out into like emotional madness is that they're all a little bit callous. They have to be. There's no way they can go through half the stuff they go through without completely falling apart. So everybody has to be a little bit less emotional than real life, you know?
Mm-hmm. The 80s slutty girl, she has one of the best sequences in any movie ever.
God, it was fantastic. When you made me watch it without any context, I thought it was funny, but it didn't, like, I didn't really have any reference point for it until I saw it in the movie. And now, like, I've watched the movie 3 times at this point, and every time I still lose my shit at that part.
They're trying to lure the killer out by making her striptease to the song She's My Cherry Pie.
But she's eaten an entire bottle of Adderall at this point.
So she throws everything into it, and she's amazing.
Mm-hmm. And is just offbeat, tweaking. It's utter madness. It's so good.
She's like, I can do this. I can do it. I do like some subtle, like, moments at the very beginning with the bitchy character, the friend, who, it sort of seems like the first time you watch this that she's really just trying to zone in on Max's boyfriend, but actually she's trying to talk to Max.
Yeah. I thought that was clever how they did that little bit of a turnaround there.
She only ends up acting a little mean because Max doesn't want to talk to her, and she's obviously her feelings are hurt. So, and you notice that on the second watch. You probably don't notice it the first watch.
And I get both points of view. Like, Max just went through the hardest thing anybody could ever go through. Mm-hmm. And she backed off a little bit. Well, like a lot. She just kind of retreated into herself. And I get that Vicky, like, wanted to be there and, like, is sort of irritated that she couldn't help. And, like, she's not as understanding as she could be, but it all came from, like, a good place, you know? Mm-hmm. And I like how they introduced her as, like, trying to get with Chris but really just wants to reconnect with her friend. Friends, because she's good friends with Gertie as well.
Yeah. We had mentioned when we were watching the trailer the sort of long shot that got them into the film, the fire, and how really cool it was that when they shot it. There's a little bit of camera tricks and CGI there, but the idea is that some gasoline. Was it gasoline?
No, it was just high test liquor.
Yeah, liquor ends up like spilling and getting into the theater floor. A guy's cigarette ash falls, starts a fire, and the theater's lit on fire. Max grabs something and cuts the theater screen open, and her and her friends dive through, and they end up in the movie. So the whole shot is really cool, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really, really, really well done.
And after you watch this, you will not stop singing Betty Davis Eyes.
And you'll think about it completely differently as well.
Yeah, I never really liked the song, but now I love the song after this movie.
I've always thought it was okay, but it's definitely better now.
Mm-hmm. I thought Alexander Ludwig was good in this movie, but once I watched Final Girl and I saw him still play a charismatic but very different character, dude, my respect for this guy who did that movie in the same year as this one went through the roof.
Yeah, I've never seen him in something that I dislike. Like, he's great in Vikings, he's great in this, he's great in Final Girl. He's okay. He's in the Hunger Games, that's fine. You know, like, I'm looking at his stuff. Oh, he's in the new Bad Boys too, dope.
Was he? Oh, he was. Oh my gosh.
What, you've seen the new Bad Boys already?
Well, yeah, I went to the drive-in.
Oh, I hate you, I haven't seen it yet.
It's okay. I think of the movies that have tried to do a sort of passing the torch thing, that one probably did it best.
Oh, right on. Cool. But yeah, Ludwig's really good. And he is much better in Final Girl, I think. But I mean, that's not to say he wasn't bad in Final Girl. He just didn't
get as much of a character, a role.
Yeah.
Like, he was just the love interest in this.
I think in general, the characters in the Final Girl are a lot more interesting and a lot more fun. Yeah,
definitely. Though the filming is cheaper and some of the story dynamics aren't as good as the Final Girls.
The plot's not nearly as good.
Some of the choices are trying to be artsy and just don't quite nail it properly. It feels like a short film that was made into a feature-length picture.
Maybe this is a good time to transfer into the Final Girl.
I think so, because I think, like, thematically we're both ready for it.
Boom, segue.
That was a much better segue than mine was.
Until I
Veronica, would you like
called
to come
attention to it.
Yeah.
To a place where I would teach
the
you
problem with
things. You
segues.
like learning things, don't you?
What kind of things?
Well, I would be training you for a very
The casting
job
for the little girl and the adult was really
that
good.
most people can't handle.
They look a lot alike. Though the dynamic with the guy who basically raises her is creepy.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got some stuff to say about that.
What's his
These guys are all great.
It's very Reservoir Dogs at times. Especially, them being in a diner together in suits.
Yeah, I feel like that had to have been done on purpose. That dance? Yeah, that was completely that actor's idea.
Oh, he was perfect.
The acts, the dance, the name, all of it.
I love him. He's my favorite character.
Oh, mine too. That song too is phenomenal.
I don't quite understand his hallucinations, but I don't understand him sober either.
He's the one that had the pandas.
You whore of Babylon!
Ron got hooked up for us this time, man.
I think the point of his hallucination was he was just completely insane.
What are you doing Saturday night?
That makes sense.
But we'll come back.
No, you're doing that Friday night. You're gonna meet me here at 8 o'clock with clean hair and red lipstick.
Hello, boys. I'm Veronica.
So, are you ready for a game?
Depends on the game.
And I want you to run, Veronica.
And then what?
We hunt you down.
And the way he transitions from like charming guy to like evil killer, like Ludwig. Oh, he's so good.
There's no one person more powerful than the other.
And to the
Only
very
the one
end,
with the most
I like
will
that change
is the strongest.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to do this mission alone.
I feel like they really could have cut down her training sessions.
I think that they probably thought that they were building the relationship between these two, but I don't think they realized they didn't really need to build that relationship much.
Yeah. Like, it might have been more effective if they hadn't built it, you know?
You are an interesting girl.
Yeah. Or it would be less creepy.
Yeah. Because it's like, wait, hold on. She's been with him since she was a child, and now she wants to have sex with him.
And I mean, I kind of get it from her point of view. Like, I understand why she would feel that way, but what makes me uncomfortable is that he's not totally against it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, I feel like that he should be the responsible one. Like,
yeah, his personal barrier isn't that it's wrong, and it should be.
Right, exactly. But I think we'll probably come back to that. All right, so final girl, singular, one girl as opposed to a bunch of girls.
Though doing a gender reversal of this would also be interesting.
True, but I feel like calling it final boy is like a kick in feminism's face.
Final lad?
Final man. Actually, that's worse. And I use the accent. That's real bad. All right, so we're continuing with our theme of American Horror Story characters. Well, no. Who are the guys that do that?
Let me get out my handy dandy notebook on Google.
I'm on it already.
Oh. Creators of Glee.
Yeah, I just can't remember their names. Because I hate them.
I thought you liked American Horror Story.
I do. Oh, this drives me nuts.
Ryan Murphy and Brad Falchuk.
All right. So continuing the trend of people from Ryan Murphy movie or TV shows making movies, because we had the chick from Murder House in your movie. In this one, we have Abigail Breslin from Scream Queens. She's one of the sorority chicks, who is also one of the main characters in this. And then we also have Alexander Ludwig. He's in mine as well. Mm-hmm. Anyway, Abigail plays a girl who, as a child, watched her parents murdered. And it never says by who. Is it unsolved or?
I think it's unsolved.
I think so too. So some dude who might work for some shadowy government agency or might just be like a Bruce Wayne type
like a vigilante because he lost his wife.
Yeah, he lost it. But this is where the plot kind of, see, it's already kind of off the rails for me because I'm not clear on like who he is, how he knows how to train her. You know what I mean? It feels like a weird government agency, but it's never really discussed. Right? Or am I forgetting something important? Because it's been a while since I've seen this. It's been like 2 weeks since I watched this.
Yeah, they don't really point out exactly. You never really find out anything about him beyond the fact that his wife was killed, and I assume he raised this woman as he trained her to be an assassin.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's definitely just those two. Mm-hmm. But it's impossible to tell if they had contact with anybody else. If this even isn't like, who knows? Yeah. So his name is William. Her name is Veronica, and her training has completed. This is another weird thing, actually. Like it hints that she has already done other missions too.
Huh.
Like it feels like this is her first mission, but there are parts of it that made it seem like it wasn't her first mission as well.
Well,
like,
maybe it's her first that required killing.
Maybe, but he says something like, this is different than anything you've ever come across before or something like that at some point. That to me means she has done a version of this before, but who knows? Anyway, there are these 4 boys murdering girls in this small town. This is another one of those timeless shows where it sort of seems like it's in the 50s, but it also seems like it's in modern times, though it could be in the 60s, which I get.
50s until it's inconvenient not to have modern technology.
Right. Which is actually exactly how Reprisal is on Hulu, and I love that show, so it works. This could be in the same universe as Reprisal, in fact. So these boys are killing girls, and Veronica's been trained her entire life to be the final girl, the one who destroys the destroyers. And we get to see her destroy the destroyers. And it is absolutely this
beautiful,
insane, psychedelic, beautiful trip through this insane, like, and it's not a horror movie. It's like a thriller.
I mean, she basically takes them on a spirit journey.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's an excellent way to put it. She slips all but one of them a pretty severe hallucinogenic, so they're all forced to confront their deepest fear before they have to confront her. Mm-hmm. So we've got stuff like the kid with the baseball bat has to confront his mother because he's a big mama's boy, that kind of thing.
Very much so.
Yeah, the ladies' man has to confront the fact that he doesn't actually trust his girlfriend because she had a previous relationship with Ludwig's character, Jameson, who is also the head of this, who also didn't take the hallucination or the hallucinogenic. Mm-hmm. Did he end up taking it by the end? I can't remember.
She forced it on him.
That's right. I think the best hallucination, though, is the dude with the axe. I can't remember which kid he is.
The crazy one?
Well, yeah. Danny. Danny is his name. So Danny apparently, he's an axe-wielding maniac, and he hallucinates these panda bear masked men that doesn't make any sense. And I think the reason it doesn't make sense is because it's not supposed to, because he is just the most insane out of all of them. Mm-hmm. And when we get to look into his brain, it's just madness. That's all we see is madness.
Like nothing that makes sense.
Yeah, and I kind of love that because that's all we see from him, like from the beginning when he's getting ready and dancing with his axe to that amazing song. I looked up the name, but I can't find it.
He's full of this really fun energy, and he plays his character so well. You're supposed to hate serial killer characters, but if you're watching a movie like this, you kind of want to enjoy watching the characters anyway.
Yeah, and he feels like Jack Nicholson from The Shining if Jack Nicholson in The Shining was charismatic.
And attractive?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Jack has his own kind of charisma and attraction, but no, this guy's actually like stereotypically attractive.
Yeah.
He's got hair.
Yeah. Like he could lure you into the woods.
Well, if he wasn't crazy.
Well, you wouldn't know that.
Well, I feel like the weird southern thing he was doing was a little crazy.
Maybe, yeah. That's a good point. So the director, whose name I forget, because it doesn't really matter, he doesn't do anything. Tyler Shields. He did nothing else I've seen. He did a movie called Outlaw. He did a Marilyn Manson thing. And he did Final Girl. And something about God's doing cocaine. Yeah, he doesn't have very many credits. And I mean, it kind of shows like this is.
It's not polished.
Yeah, it's not a great. It's not a great movie. Like everybody in it is great, but and it's shot well, but the plot kind of is predictable and boring.
Well, and they do one thing in the very beginning that kind of implies it's not going to be that great, in the fact that the guy narrates a lot. And if you open a new movie with a lot of narration, that's usually, not always, but usually a very bad sign.
Yeah, I'd say with the exception of noir detective movies, it's a bad sign.
Yeah. Or like a parody of a noir detective movie, like Stay Tuned, when John Ritter did some narration.
Right. Oh, I gotta watch that again someday. I don't know. I don't have a lot more to say about this. I love it. I really like it, but not because it's good necessarily. It's because everybody in it's good.
Yeah. You won't hate the movie, and you'll enjoy a lot of it. But once you're done watching it, you'll think, that could have been a better movie, but it wasn't a complete waste of time.
Yeah, yeah. And it'll just the axe wielding maniac scenes will make the movie for you. Mm-hmm. And Abigail Breslin's pretty great. Like she's not. I've never seen her play like, what's the word for not big? Full. Mm-hmm. No. Dynamic. Yeah. I have never seen her play it like a dynamic role, but she does what she does pretty well, especially in this.
Yeah. And again, back to Alexander Ludwig, the moment in the end when he breaks down and you see past this like shallow, fake, evil guy, and you see him for the real coward he is, that he's the biggest coward out of all of them, that's a wonderful moment.
Yeah, that's a pretty great payoff. Mm-hmm. I don't want to go into that, but that entire final scene is great.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I didn't really need the whole thing with her and the whipped cream but whatever.
Oh yeah, I forgot that was at the end. Yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
We're just very moral people, Maddie.
I guess we are. We're, at Hallow-Holics Anonymous, we are a very stoic, morally upstanding, certainly not morally bankrupt crew.
We may be assholes, but we know when somebody's doing wrong.
Exactly. We never take the tag off of the mattress when it says do not remove.
I do, because I'm afraid it's going to itch me.
Oh, well, I meant like before you buy it.
Oh, no. Yeah. I actually think I've ever bought a mattress.
I never personally jaywalk unless it's absolutely necessary.
I jaywalk a lot. I can't be bothered with rules like that.
Well, we're not perfect.
I am. It's because I'm perfect that I jaywalk, Maddie. I know what should be law and what should not be.
Okay. Well, if you'd like to read more about our upstanding moral character, you can find information on it at hallowholic.blogspot.com or hallowholic.wordpress.com.
Oh, you can also find us in the Twitterverse at Nowhere23 or by searching Hallow-Holics.
You can email us at hallowholics@outlook.com.
So he's here with another version of himself. I think he's hired an actor. How does he know what movies we're going? Oh, because we announced them the week before. What
I want to know too is where's he getting all the money to create all these weapons and clone himself or hire actors and just. My guess is he's had rich victims before. Like if he's being hired by some upstart internet company like Podpedia. I mean, he's got that internet money. So he's probably spending Bitcoin on these actors. Anyway, point is, this actor's not great. So he's doing a bad impersonation of the man threatening me to tell you to go to podpedia.org and search our portal HHA to find out more about the Hallow-Holics Anonymous. Mm. All right, they just left. This was a weird one. Huh. Maybe was it a power move?
It might have been, but it didn't feel very powerful to me.
Oh. Well, what do you think he's going to want to hear us talk about next week before he barges in again?
I have no idea, and I had an idea until I forgot said idea. Shit.
I am looking at episode ideas right now.
Oh, I never look at those. We never pick anything off of those anyways.
Yeah, true. Oh, wait, real quick, guys. Happy Scott Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah, that's Scott's Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's probably too late now, but happy belated Scott Valentine's Day.
Yeah, that. Oh, yeah, this is technically our Scott Valentine's Day episode.
Yeah.
Oh, we forgot to mention him. Well, okay, we remembered just now.
Just remember to grab a loved one and watch your most cherished Scott Valentine movie and or episode.
And I wish he had more stuff. We've pretty much done everything that's worth doing on him.
Well, we never did Carnosaur 2.
Some things are okay. We could do Carnosaur 2 and Velocipaster. A lot of people talking about Velocipaster. I don't know if I want to watch that much bad in one sitting. Like, we're very busy people these days. I don't want to sit down and watch like 3 hours of crap. You know, I can do maybe an hour and a half of crap and maybe an hour and a half of mediocre.
Well, how can you just assume that Carnosaur 2 is going to be bad?
Well, it's a sequel to Carnosaur. And I've seen Carnosaur.
Well, he is in a vampire movie called To Sleep with a Vampire.
We did that one.
No, we didn't.
Is it because we never found it?
I think so.
Oh, we did it.
No, we didn't.
I feel like I've watched it.
Well, maybe you watched it, but we didn't do it. Oh, he's in Carnosaur 3. My bad.
My point stands. I'm not arguing this with you.
The ones we did were Dead Time Stories and The Unborn 2.
We did do those. But didn't we do another, like...
You watched My Demon Lover.
Oh. Okay, that may be what I'm thinking of. I remember us trying to do the vampire one. Yeah, that was another one we couldn't find. Or you had it on VHS, but had no way to get it to me or something. I don't remember. Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the Scott Valentine movie list.
Oh, I just figured you were letting me talk to myself until I was done.
Well, it sometimes is easier that way.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
He's been in some thrillers.
I hate thrillers mostly, though. It's always just boobs and murder. Those are two things I like. Like poorly acted boobs and murder. Well, the boobs aren't poorly acted because boobs are just real.
Then I guess the world will just have to accept that we're not going to watch Carnosaur 3 next week, as good as it might be.
I wonder how many boobs in thrillers are real versus fake.
Well, actually, that gives me an idea, actually.
I'm glad I could help.
There is a film I would love for us to talk about called I, Madman, starring Jenny Wright and Wyndham William Cook.
What year?
1989.
Huh. I've never heard of that. I'm totally down.
It's a surprising film. Jenny Wright was in Near Dark. It's pretty good.
Wait, is it the blonde?
Yeah.
Wow, she's not been in much. Like there was this whole piece in the Near Dark DVD about how she kind of just disappeared, and the dude who played Caleb was like sort of lamenting the fact that he didn't get to see her again after Near Dark. She just kind of poofed.
That's a shame.
Yeah, it was sort of sad.
I, Madman is definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen it before. Basically, a girl starts reading these she works at a bookstore, but she starts reading these pulp novels, and she finds this weird writer. He only had like 3 books, but as she's reading them, it's almost like the books are coming alive around her.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
Mm-hmm. So I, Madman, which might pair really well with a film like Popcorn.
Never Ending Story.
Or Never Ending Story.
No, I could do Popcorn. I've never seen Popcorn. Or did we watch Popcorn together before we were doing the show? Did I watch it in the horror channel?
You might have watched it in the horror channel.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Well, okay. So next week, guys, we'll be talking about I, Madman and Popcorn.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Corey, I hate to be a bummer here, but you have started an electrical fire.
Yeah, I know, because it's harder to put out that way.
What's your plan from here? What exactly do you think is going to happen?
To go back.
Okay. To what?
Just back. I don't care.
Oh
I forget is what I'm saying.
Oh, I guess we're just going to have to dive into that stupid portal over there.
See, I told you.